Okay, we're in the Gemara in Taanis over here, and we're on Daf Kaf Ches. We're going to start from the top. Parsha Gidol Lo Korim Arso B'Shnayim B'Shachris B'Musaf B'Mincha Koyrin Piyam. So the Gemara asks, what is the intention of the mission over here? Yibai Lahu Heichli Ka'amar B'Shachris B'Musaf Koyrin Arso B'Sefer. In the morning and in Musaf time, did they read it in the Sefer? B'Mincha Koyrin Arso Al Peh, and at Mincha time, did they read it by heart? Kikorin Shema, like how they recite Shema. Odum, or maybe Hachi Ka'amar. This is what it's saying. B'Shachris Korin Aso B'Sefer, B'Musav B'Mincha Korin Aso Alpek Korin Shema. Or maybe in the morning they read it from the Sefer, and at Musaf they read it, and Mincha they read it by heart like Shema. Toshma, come and listen to Tanya. The Brisa says. B'Shachris B'Musav Nichnasim LeBeis HaKnesset V'Korin Kederach T'Korin Kol Hashem B'Mincha Yachid Korin Aso Alpek. In the morning and in Musaf they enter into the shul and they read it like how they read it the entire year. And at Mincha, an individual reads it by heart. Rabbi Yossi v'chi yochid yochel l'kros divrei Torah al peh b'tzibur. Yossi asks, is an individual allowed to recite something by heart in a congregation? Ella rather, kulon nechnasin v'koynos al peh k'korin Shema. All of them enter in and they read it by heart like how they recite Shema. Kol yom sheish bo haloim bo maimud. Any day where there's halal, there is no maimud. Ma hefresh bein zel. What's the difference between this and that? What's the difference, as Rashi explains, between the korban eitzim, the sacrifice so that the wood was involved, that there would be a maimid when it came to Ne'ilah time. However, mincha there wouldn't be. What would be the difference? Halalu divrei Torah, halalu divrei Sorry, from the Gemara answers. One is from the Torah and one is rabbinic. Rashi over here explains that the one that is from the Torah is actually going to be mincha. Like the Gemara in Brachos says that Yitzchak enacted mincha, and Ela is going to be rabbinic. Zman Eitzi Kohanim V'An Tanu Rabbanim, we have a brisa. Lama hutzrachu loimer Eitzi Kohanim V'Am. Why do you need to say the wood from the Kohanim and the nation? Amru, they say Kish Ala B'nei Agol Lo Matzu Eitzim Belishko. When the people from the exile went up, they didn't find wood for the treasury. V'amdu Elavis Na'avim Mishalhem, and these they stood up and they donated from their own. V'kachnis Neviim Shebeneim. This is what the early prophets from among them stipulated. Shafilu Lishka Malaya Eitzim Yu Elu Misnavim Mishalhem, that even if the Lishka is filled with wood, that they should donate from their own. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, "V'hagoyra lois he palnu al korban haitzim," that we casted lots on the sacrifice, the korban of the wood. HaKohanim haLeviyim, the Kohanim and the Leviyim, va'am in the nation. Lahavi lebeis Elkeinu, to bring to the house of our God. Lebeis Elkeinu, to the house of our ancestor, Le'itim Mizumanim, for times that are set, Shana B'Shana, every single year, Lavar al Mizbeach Hashem, to burn on Mizbeach of Hashem, Elokeinu our God, Kasu B'Torah, as it says in the Torah. V'imam Kohanim Leviyim B'Kolmi, etc. Tanu Rabbanim, ever B'Risa Mahal B'nei Goinvi, Eliu B'nei Koitziknus. Who exactly were these people? Amr, they said, Pam Achaz Gozru Hamalchus Kizirel Yisrael. One time they decreed a decree against the Jews. Shul Yaviu Eitzim L'Aracha, not to bring wood for the Mizbeach, V'shul Yaviu Bikum Yushalayim, not to bring Bikurim to Yushalayim. V'oshivu Peruz Da'ois, and they appointed guards al hadrachim on the pathways that they would take. Kederach shahoishev Yeravam ben Navat shelo Yisrael regel, like the way that Yeravam, the son of Navat, set up that he didn't allow the Jews to go to the Beis Hamikdash during the major holidays. Ma asu kishaydin. What did the people who were kosher in that generation, some had who feared sin? What did they do in that generation? Heviu sala bikurim. They brought baskets of bikurim, v'chayfum b'kitzius, and they covered them with dry figs. V'notlum, and they took them. The Eli al Ktefim, and they had the clubs on their shoulders. The Kivan Shagiu Eltil proves those once they reached the spot where the guards were. Amr, they said, Amr Lahem, Lahichen Atem Holchim, to where are you going? Amr Lahem, they told them, La'asois Shnei Iguli Develu, we're going to make two cakes of pressed figs. The Mateshas and the grinder Shilfanimu in front of us. Ube'ili Shal Kitafino, and with the club that is on our shoulders. Kivan Sha'ovnu Mehen Itrum Bitzolim Vehevinu Shalayim, since they went from them. So then they adorned them with baskets once they passed them, and they brought them to Yerushalayim. Tono, we have a brayso, hein b'nei Salmi ha netufti. That is the Salman and Tufti. Taner Rabbanan, well, who are those people? Ma hein bein Salman and Tufti. What is it? Amru Pamachas. One time goes to Malchus. One time they decreed a decree. Gezedo decreed a decree al Yisrael and the Jews. Shali Yavi Reitzim al Racha. Not to put the wood on the mizbech. Shivu Peros Daos al Adrachim. They appointed guards on the way. Kederach Shal if you remember Navid al Adrachim, just like Yeravam did. Shali Yisrael regular. The Jews shouldn't go up for the holidays. Ma'asu yirei chet shebo yisador. What did the people do who feared sin in that generation? Heviu, they brought gizrayim their wood. Va'asu sulamois, and they made ladders. V'henichu al chitveim, and they placed it on their shoulders. V'holchu lahem, and then they went kivin shegiu etzlan. Once they reached them, amar lahem, they told them lahechamatim hochem, where are you going? Amar lahem, they said v'havi gozos meshubach. We're going to bring the pigeons from the bird's nest. Shilfaninu in front of us, ubusonu shal ketafinu, with the ladders that are on our shoulders. Kivan sha'avru mahem, once they passed them, pirukum, they took it apart, vehivium, and they brought them, ve'olum Yushalayim, and they brought them up to Yushalayim, ve'alem v'al u'amar, and on them, and on similar to them, the pasuk says, zecher sadik l'rvacha, remember the righteous person for blessing, gal Yovam ben Nava v'chaveir never, and Yerovam, the son of Navin, and his friends, the pasuk says, v'shem Rishayim Yirkov, the name of the wicked people will rat. Be'esrim abo b'nei Pachas ben Moed ben Yehudo on the 20th of Av. That's the people of Pachas, the Moed, the son of Yehuda. Tana b'nei Pachas ben Moed ben Yehuda hen b'nei David ben Yehuda. They're the same as the b'nei David ben Yehuda. The very Meir that's according to Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef and hen b'nei Yoav ben Zeruya. The same as Yoav ben Zeruya. Be'esrim be'elu. Bnei Yodjum ben Yehuda, Tanu Rabbanu ever buys Bnei Yodjum ben Yehuda, Hein, Bnei David ben Yehuda, they're the same as Bnei David ben Yehuda, the Rabbi Yehuda, that's according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef. Hein, the same as Bnei Yoav ben Seruya, the same as Yoav ben, the Bnei Yoav ben Seruya. Look at Rashi for the whole calculation for more details. Bechav Teves, on the first of Teves, Shavu, they returned, Bnei Paro Ishniya. The Bnei Parosh, they went the second time. Amas Nisan, who's also of the Mishnah, it can't be Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi. Can't be Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, or Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Meir. If it's going to be Rabbi Meir, listen, Yishav Bnei David ben Yehuda Shniya, just say, let the Mishnah say then, Bnei David ben Yehuda the second time, Rabbi Yehuda, if it's Rabbi Yehuda listening, Shav Bnei David ben Yehuda Shniya, then you should say Shav Bnei David ben Yehuda second time, Rabbi Yossi, if it's Rabbi Yossi listening, Shav Bnei Yoav ben Seruya Shniya, so then you should say, Bnei Yoav ben Seruya second time, Leolam Yulatot, Rabbi Yossi, V'Traitan Ali Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, the two Tanaim based on what he says. Look at Rashi for more details. Mark Markashia, the son of Rav Chizah, told Rav Ashi, Ma'ishna, what's the difference? How the Dachi day? What's the difference? That Hal's going to push it off the Maimid in the morning. Ma'ishna Musaf, the Loi Dachi day. And what's the difference? The Musaf, that it would not push off the Maimid of Musaf. What's the difference over there? Amalei Ravashi, Ravashi says, Hashto, the lab, the day, dochi, the day, lo kol shekain. Now that it's not true that mincha, it's not going to push off musaf all the more so, which is going to push off the maimid of musaf and mincha. Amrulay, they said, Hachi kaminalach. This is what I'm telling you. Lo lidchi el didei. Should only push off musaf, just musaf. Malay said, Ika Rabbi Yosi to Kaikavaitech. Rabbi Yosi holds of what you just said. Tanya, because Rabbi Yosi says, Kol Yom Sheishma Musaf Yeshua Maimon. Any day that there's a Musaf, there's Maimud. Maimud, the Maimud, what type of Maimud are we talking about? Maimud the Shach, if we're talking about the Maimud in the morning. This is what the Tanakama of this Bryce is also saying. Rather, it's referring to Maimud of the Musaf. And it itself, meaning the Musaf, it's not going to push off. So what's going on? Elo di mincha, rather it must be mincha. Different texts over here, how to learn this. The korban eitzim would push off. Elalav, some take that whole thing out. The ne'ilah, it won't push off ne'ilah. Shema mino didei dachi. We can infer from here that musaf will push off. The lav didei, something that's not it. Eke mincha ne'ilah loy dachi. It will not push off. Shema mino. Listening on me, why don't you teach also on the first of Nisan that there is not a Maimid because there's Halal and a Korban Musaf and Korban Eitzim? Amarava, Rava tells us, this is what it's saying. Halila de Bereishar Chalav the Raisa Halan Rosh Chodesh is not from the Torah, is not the Raisa Dam Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Shimon ben Yosadok, because Rabbi Yochanan says the name of Rabbi Shimon, the son of Yosadok. Shimon Sori Yoim B'Shana Yachid. Remember, it's a hal there 18 times during the year, 18 days during the year when a person says the hal of Elohim, and these are them. Shmoni Yimei Chag, 8 days of Sukkot. Shmoni Yimei Chanukah, 8 days of Chanukah up to 16. Yom Tov Rishon Shal Pesach, first day of Yom Tov Pesach up to 17. V'Yom Tov Rishon Shal Seretz, first day of Shavuos, we're up to 18. Uba Goyla in the exile in the diaspora outside of Israel. Esrim Be'achad, you have 21 days. Elohim, these are them. Teishos, Yemei Chag, Shmonit Yemei Chanukah, 9 days of Sukkot, 8 days of Chanukah. We don't have Sveika the Yom of the Chanukah. A doubt on the day of Chanukah, we don't have an extra day because it's a rabbinic Ran and Shabbos Chaf Aleph. Shnei Yom Rishonim Shal Pesach, first 2 days of Pesach. Full Hallel, Beis Yom Tovim Shal Shar, 2 days of Shavuos. Rav, is it a Bavel? And he saw that they were saying Halal Bereish Archan Rosh Chodesh Shavar Siknayu. He said, I gotta stop them, they're not supposed to be saying it. Oh, okay, but the Chazik come down to the Lugi. Once he saw they were skipping, they weren't saying the full Halal, they weren't saying the full one. Amr, he said, Shema, no, we can infer from here, Minag of Asin Biadim, they have a custom of their forefathers in their hands. Tana, we have a statement from a Braisa, Yachad Lo Yaskum Hiskul Goimer, an individual shouldn't begin Halal, but if he did, he would complete. Taisvus over here goes through a calculation, and he explains on the first Taisvus that on Chanukah it makes sense to finish Halal all 8 days because the Nes, the miracle, Hanes Mezgadel, the Nes, the miracle increased daily. Every single day it was more special than the day that preceded it. The oil, that it lasted longer. Whole discussion what the miracle is at Shabbos Chaf Aleph, but that's what he says. Similarly on Sukkot, every single day was an independent holiday because the Pari Hachag, the sacrifice of the Korbanos, they would decrease daily. Conversely, on Pesach, there's no difference with the Korbanos and not on the actual Yontif, and therefore you would only do a full Halal on the first day or so. Nowadays, he says we do 2 days, of course, because we have Sveika Diyoma. We're not exactly sure which day is the right day, even though we have a fixed calendar. Nevertheless, it didn't change like the Gemara Beitza discusses. And the same applies for the second day of Shavuos and also for Simchas Torah, and that's why we have 21 days. The next Taisvus discusses from over here. We see that on a minog, on something that's a custom, we don't make a bracha. It's also implied from the Gemara Maseches Sukkah and Mem Daled Amud Beis, where they would take the arava and they wouldn't say a bracha. And they said that it was minog neviim. It was a custom to neviim. They said it was a custom from the prophets to make a bracha. Rabbeinu Tam holds you need to make a bracha. Taisvus continues a little briefly, and then towards the end he says that it's from Sukkah. It could be that we don't make a bracha. That's only on the minog of arava. That was only a minhag tiltu ba'alma, just a custom of merely moving it around. And on a custom of tiltu, we don't say a bracha on that type of custom, just moving it around. However, other customs, such as the recitation of Hallel and others, so then you would in fact make a bracha, and that would be the halacha. And accordingly, you need to be careful not to talk in the middle of Hallel because you said a bracha on it, and therefore it would constitute as a hefsek, as an interruption. The Gemara continues and says, "Hey, Tammuz, 5 things happen on the 17th of Tammuz, as we discussed when we learned the Mishnah earlier on the Masechta. One of them was that the luchos broke. The Gemara asked, when did the luchos break? When did that happen? The 10 Commandments were given to the Jews on the 6th of the Chodesh of the month. This is talking about Sivan. That's when the 10 Commandments were given to Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shiva. Rabbi Yossi says it was the 7th. You have an argument if it was given on the 6th of Sivan or the 7th. Mandam, B'shisha nitnu, B'shiva ala Moshe. According to the opinion who says that it was given on the 6th, so on the 6th it was given on the 7th, that's when Moshe went up. Mandam B'shiva, the opinion who holds that it was 7, B'shiva nitnu, B'shiva ala Moshe. It was given on the 7th, and on the 7th, that's when Moshe went up. The pasuk says, "Vayikra Moshe b'yom hashvi." Well, at the Moshe on the 7th day, the in the pasuk says, "V'yav Moshe b'toch hanan v'yal al har v'yim Moshe bahar arba'im yom v'arba'im laila." That Moshe, he went up in the cloud and he went to the mountain, and Moshe was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nighs. Esrim v'arba de Sivan, 24 days of Sivan, v'shitzar de Tammuz, and 16 days of Tammuz, malulahu arba'im. So that's how you get to 40. 16 plus 24 is 40. V'shivisar, on the 17th Tammuz of Tammuz, Nachas, he came down. Also, he came v'tavernai luchos, and he broke the luchos, the tablets. V'ksiv in the pasuk v'yikasher karver lamachne v'yurasa egel v'yishuch miyod v'sech luchos v'shabi osam tachas har. That it was when he came to the camp. So then he saw the calf and he tossed it from his hands, the tablets, and he broke them under the mountain. Okay, Batul Tamid Gemara. We have a tradition that the Korban Tamid was nullified. Hukfu Ayir b'Yud Zayin Hu. The breach happened on the 17th. The pasuk is b'Chodesh Revi b'Tishul Chodesh v'Yachazik Harav b'Ir. It was on the fourth month. On the ninth of the month, that's when the famine got very bad in the city. In the pasuk says after that's when the city was breached. Which one was it? The seventh or the ninth? Amarava, there's no question. Like Kash, Kam Rishona, Kam Shini. It depends if it was the first base of Mikdash or the second. Which one's which? Did Tanya the Brisa says Rishona Hovka Betisha Betam Bishnia Bishavar Sarbo. On the first one, it was breached. The city was breached on the ninth of Tammuz. The second one was the 17th. That's the idea over here. I made a mistake before. I accidentally said 7. It was 17th. Sorrow of Afurchafur says a Torah Gemara. That's a tradition that Afurchafur he burnt the Torah. Him Mitzelam Behechem and how do we know that he put a idolatry over there, an idol? Do we know because the pasuk says the time that you stopped the Talmud sheketz shumam and you placed an abomination over there. V'chad havi, was it only one idol? The pasuk says mishumam, and it seems like from the pasuk that it was two abominations. Amar Rav Rava says trey havi really was two. One idol fell on the other idol. V'tavri lei liyadin, it broke the arm of the other idol. V'ashkech havi ksiv, and it's found that it was said on. Savis, you wanted lecharuvi besa to destroy the base of Mikdash yadecha with your hand, and then I paid you back. Which means, as Rashi explains, that one idol told the other idol, you wanted to destroy the base of Mikdash. Therefore, I took a vengeance against you and I broke your arm. Stop here.